All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Part 1 got disconnected, so this is part 2. It's a fascinating episode about how I realized I'm not a nice person, and how I realized that it's like the human experience has simulations of self, others, and the world. What that means is it's like the ancient yogis thought the world was a simulation, but way more than that. So what I realized last night was that a part of me was hiding. A part of me, in some sense, imagine like you as an entity, you tell yourself a story, and this story activates like a certain range of yourself. And a part of me honestly thought, maybe I shouldn't give this episode. But then I thought, what kind of person would I be if I don't talk about my own inefficiencies? It's as if like there's some moments in life where it's as if like you've been living and you suddenly realize it's as if you've never been that person. And sometimes in life, I was thinking about it, really, the idea of niceness, And I was thinking somebody could think something is nice and do it for someone else, and that person may not think it's nice. And just like moral relativism, I think it kind of fits into this, right? But this doesn't mean it's like, you can't be a nice person in all of this, right? I'm just saying that I noticed like a part of me was lying to myself. Just trying to see one side of the coin. It's like some people see their shadow and then they see their light. For me it was the opposite, I think. I saw a brighter self before a dimmer one. And to be honest, it's like certain moments come in life where it's as if the person doesn't, it's like your patience with yourself finishes. And last night I realized very clearly, it was like for a second, it was like, I'll tell you something very profound that happened last night. In the psychedelic experience I had, there was a moment where I realized I'm like just a natural human realization. Okay, I'm gonna die at the end of this life. This thought went in very directly. And for a moment, my mind entertained, I was raised in a theocracy, and the idea of Archangel Ezra, in Western times, that angelic figure has been reduced to like the idea of the Grim Reaper, But for a second, I thought of the idea of the angel of death. And for the first time in my life, it was very intense. I just shouted I was in my room, I just shouted that, "Death, I am walking towards you." Not in the sense of the death of the body. I was like, I am coming to you. You are not coming to me. And it was this intense feeling where if my whole life, it's as if you're trying to hold on to this emotion of decency. This feeling like, okay, it's still gonna work out, and then for a moment, I was like the end. I don't know how to say it, but it was as if for the first time I was like, okay, am I gonna choose to live afraid of where I am going in this world? And then I realized, in some sense, if I am walking towards an end, an unknown portal, an unknown door, how do I want to enter that door? And I realized I was lying to myself. I realized this all, it was as if, how do I say it? My emotions had deceived me, my own emotions. And you know, for the first time last night, I think I understood my karma in a way I had never before. That the fear of the unknown was denying me my own authenticity. My fear of the wrong, my fear of being incorrect, it had convinced me. It had convinced me it was fine. Do you understand? And you know, it's very bizarre, because if you go ask anybody in my family, anybody who knows me, I think aside from my twin brother, no one has ever seen me angry. You know, any intensity, you know? And the reason was because my father I never have a memory of him, you know, showing rage. But I realized, again, something in me is trying to convince itself that the other side of the coin is not important. Human consciousness is savage, it is violent. Humans do not see, do not always feel, you know, what is behind each other's eyes. Jesus Christ. Oh man. Anyways, I'll keep going. A certain combination of impatience, a certain combination of indecency, an emotion of indecency, a certain Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. Anyways, whatever. To continue. I wanted to ask the person beside me if the smoke of my cigarette was bothering them and if they'd like to close their window. But in reality, you know, it all goes forth. Your attention is your presence. Within your presence, your personality is found. Human beings are creatures of a simulating and projective nature. I don't know what I experienced last night, but it was so redeeming. It was so freeing. It was as if some part of my psyche hadn't been given a permission, you know. And in some sense, last night I reached a sort of as if the cup was full to the brim, and I realized we don't have time for artificial niceness. Even though the idea of humanity is an illusion, even though we have to assume the niceness, you know. But when I even think of an advanced civilization and the advanced beings in it, and would they be nice? Do we want them all to be nice? I had this view that if we had a utopia and everybody on the planet was good, I don't know, just this thought occurred to me that I was like, if everybody was suddenly good and there was no reference for evil, for bad, right? Then good would become meaningless and people would automatically become bad. That's the sort of I also considered that maybe another reason I'm not a nice person is because I don't accept this current society. I noticed in all my talks where I'm talking about the future, it's as if something about this present moment, this earth of 2000, this civilization of 2023 is not nice to me. That's what I realized. I realized I was in some sense hiding this intensity, you know. And I will say it, I will say it to people, you know. For the first time, I feel more honest than in some sense. Like, you see, poetry has a power. I understood this early on. I got certain realizations about language and the way language presented itself in my experience, where I feel even before I started these talks, the realizations I had on just on the nature of language and experience, in some sense, I had already known. You see, this world is in some sense, it's kind of like a moment, and then your intelligence is adding things to the moment. So pretty much it's like from the moment we wake up, as we go through experience, it's like Tetris pieces falling down and layering over one another. I thought there was, for a very long time, I had a renunciate attitude. People don't know this, but there was a time I took mysticism very extremely. To the degree that in some sense, anything that did not, on some deep intuitive level, feel correct, I would not abide by. You know. It's kind of a bit strange. It's as if like you have trusted yourself to be yourself, and then you suddenly see the self you have trusted is not the real you. Do you know? And last night this realization, like suddenly, I confronted my own shadow, right? And I saw my shadow. It wasn't just it's like, they say human beings have many faces, not in the sense of like somebody's lying and has many faces to different people, but in the sense that the human experience, there are ways that we're existing to ourselves in our experience that we, in some sense, others may never see unless we reveal. There is a very huge inner life going on here. Who was it? It was Seneca, said something so profound that he said something in the lines of, most people suffer in imagination rather than in reality. And I realized that my imagination had convinced me I am good. I'm just a good person. So easily I'm good. I just gave a couple talks. Oh man, I'm good. I'm such a good person. Oh my God, I had a non-dualistic experience. Oh my God, I watched the invisible move in front of my eyes. Oh my God, I experienced parallel senses of self non-local to this body. But oh my God, it's bizarre. It's as if it's like you've lived in a mirage in a desert, and then you suddenly notice the desert and you're like, holy shit, where am I? Or what am I, in my case? That was the profound thing. Because every person has a threshold, and then when that threshold is pushed, I don't know what it is. I think it's just the animalism in us. I think we're all dressed up, putting on clothes, and we're acting as if we've forgotten. Right? We're acting as if we've forgotten. We used to bite. We used to claw. Do you understand? And whoa, suddenly we became simple humans. Oh my God, everybody's civilized. Everybody's wearing a top hat. But does that change the intensity? You see, man is a very strange type of intelligence that was in a savageness. That means in the furnaces of evolutionary savageness, this creature arose. It climbed mountains, even when there was snow and it didn't have clothing. I mean, caveman in the ice age, those poor guys, they were lucky they didn't know what temperature was. Like conceptually to suffer from it. Because we have conceptualized the world, we have given the world a permission to change our inner realm, and then we think we suffer. There's a very incredible, There's a very incredible quote. I think it's from Saint Aquinas. I could be wrong. But the quote says, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. It comes to a decision, really. I think, most people are deciding on one side of the coin. Like Batman decided on one side of the coin, Joker decided on one side of the coin, Thanos decided one side of the coin, Iron Man decided on another side of the coin. And this is where you, dear members, dear human beings on this rock in the middle of nowhere, it is up to us to now decide. And the realization I've had, which I'm kind of sharing here, is that my decision is that no longer will I just be a good guy or will I just be a bad guy. It has never been only one side of the coin. A bird needs two wings to fly, and we have ignored one of our wings. An advanced civilization would be a complete conscious confrontation and acknowledgement of chaos and order. That means an advanced being will not fear becoming chaotic. It will not fear becoming ordered. It will be in conscious control outside of the duality. Because, I thought about it. Is the most advanced being an angel? I thought about it. Of course, man, the human being, you can say in theology, is like the most advanced being to the degree that all of creation was commanded to bow to man, to God's great creation, But after man, what is God's most advanced creation? And I thought, is it an angel? Or is it like the archangel? The fallen angel? My mind thought, which one has the karma of the world is tipping towards whose hand? Chaotic enforcement or organized enforcement. It's very strange, even though the ancients say the world started from chaos, the duality cannot be ignored. It's as if like we're experiencing a world that is like two dimensions and we don't know which one came first. And anytime we choose one that came first, it's as if we feel what's wrong. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And somebody's like, the chicken, right? But then we're like, how could the chicken be born without being an egg first? So the egg had to come first for a chicken to create another egg, right? And if you think it's the egg, you're like, how could the egg come without a chicken? You understand what I'm saying? So it's as if it's like we are seeing a problem it's like we are seeing a problem in one room, but it's actually two rooms in one, for example. There's a saying, this is a saying in, I believe it comes from Judaism. And the saying is, it's a very strange saying. When I saw it, I was like wondering, what does this mean? And the saying says, don't make conversation with a woman, with the woman, with the woman. Okay, it's like this phrase. And this phrase was said by this rabbi who wouldn't shake hands with women. And and this younger Jewish kid came up to this rabbi and it's like, yo, do you hate women? Are you sexist? Like, why won't you shake hands with women? You know? The rabbi says, the thing I'm sharing with you guys, it's a point about the authenticity, the sort of originalism that we should try to not attain but remember, do you know? So what the idea was behind that sentence, pretty much this was a video I saw, I was getting the insight from a video. And so pretty much the rabbi was saying that the reason he doesn't shake hands is because if somebody holds your hand more than a couple seconds, you suddenly feel uncomfortable. But he said that in some sense, just the nature of a touch is an intimate act. Do you know? And so he said, in some sense, that if there is someone who, for example, especially for men, if you see someone and you just have an objective desire for that, it's as if that's why they say don't make conversation with the women, it will destroy your life. That was the whole sentence, okay? And the idea was that when you perceive something not imbued with a quality of soul, then in some sense the original desire is an object. Do you see? He's in some sense saying it's as if you're a non-physical being, but you have an objective desire. Do you see? Not objective desire, but an objective interpretation, an objective evaluation of the moment. And he was saying that's why people suddenly they fill up space inauthentically. Do you see? Because they're in some sense their view is not authentic. And so from that video, the reason I'm sharing that, because the idea was in some sense your intent suggests the potential of your soul. If I remember correctly, the rabbi made the point that when you are with someone who you actually love, it's not just an objective desire, then you're comfortable with each other's silence. But if there's someone who you just have, like, let's say, just a objective desire, then you'll notice you're not comfortable with each other's silence. So you fill up the moment in artificial self-simulant. I think to realize that you're not a nice person is to some degree the beginning of becoming conscious of our own wilderness, our own intensity. Sometimes throughout these talks, I have experienced dehumanized intensity. I have experienced an energetic rhythm. I am very skilled at catching rhythms, inner realm rhythms. And in the future, I will in some sense probably teach many people to also do it. But what it is in some sense, the context that you hold the world in suggests the permission of the concepts in there, okay? And I had a context that I'm just a good person and life was going on and I was missing out on all the other things that I should have seen. And something that really upsets me, and I think I mean, of course, this world is so hilarious because consciousness is originating from within us. We can't really blame anyone outside. Do you know? But I wondered, why did nobody shake me? Why did nobody snap me out of my self simulation, my own simulation of myself, my own simulation on others, and my own simulation of the world, right? And usually, of course, the direct experiences in life snap you out of it automatically, right? But for me, I was wondering why, even I got even more upset that why didn't I notice? There's some things in life you suddenly figure out and you're like, oh, like, man, I should have noticed this years ago. I should have known this years ago. Do you know? And the reason you feel like that feeling comes is because if we had known, we would have seen. And if when I was younger, somebody would have been like, yo, idiot, you're not just a good person because people around you are saying that because you're. And if somebody had said me, idiot, wake up, and acknowledge how messed up you can be as much as how good you can be. Because I asked myself, can I say that I'm a good person? Can I say I'm a nice person? And when I asked that question from myself, what happened? All the memories where I wasn't nice and haunted me. They came to the front. They said, you think you're good? Remember this, remember this. And I'm not even talking about my universal memory. That's even more fucked up. Sometimes I thought I was like, I had a problem. Sometimes I felt like I just wanted someone to come and hit me. It was like that. This sounds bizarre, right? And like anybody who hears me say that statement, don't be insane and like don't do stupid shit. But what I'm saying by that is that I should even rephrase it. Not that I would say someone to come and hit me, but someone to come and shake me, to awaken me. Do you know? To push me out of an ego that I was like, yo, this is what I got. This is my sense of self. This is how I was raised. This is who I think I am. Like a fucking, oh God. Sorry guys, I gotta, some unnecessary words are slipping. But its presence. The bizarre thing is, the world that I see in this world is one of 8 billion worlds. We are all, the human biological system is an inner world carrier system. We are carrying the energy of the world, the sun, everything else, as an inner world. So you can say the purpose of physical existence is to create a world that is non-physical. And consciousness is how that mission was completed. The cool thing is in life, it's like, for the human being, it was too intense for, let's say, extraterrestrials to land on Earth. So it was as if like, all right, let's just put weird stuff in their environment so they get comfortable with the strange or with the unknown or with the other, And believe it or not, ever since realizing I'm there, I was lying to myself about my own. It wasn't I was lying about myself. It was as if I was functioning under an archetype. that had sold itself to itself, that had convinced itself. It's bizarre, you know. Sometimes you think only like people outside of you can convince you of things, right? But sometimes you can convince yourself of things, you know. And this world, so many forces, you know, in this world that are moving simultaneously. But is the purpose of it a transcendental acknowledgement, or are we to improve the earth room? And you know, honestly, last night was the incredible day where again, I'll summarize. I decided to head to the end. That means right now I am just walking towards my end. See, when I was nice, when I had convinced myself that it's like, yo, you're such a nice person, I did not have the honesty to be like, yo, I see chaos. But it's fine, because I am the order walking towards it. Do you see? That means, imagine there's some people, the angel of death comes and takes them, and there's some people who are like, angel of death, follow me. I will take you. Do you know? The pilots of the stars never forget their truth. Never forget the truth. And just when I say something, like, let me tell you this. I'm not saying, like, we should be like, okay, you know, Mr. Within said, you know, you got to have both sides of the spectrum. Let's make all, you know, everybody, you know, it's like all evil actions are okay suddenly. No, 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 that's not what I mean. I mean, it is okay to dislike yourself. It is okay to have moments where you look down on yourself and you see that self. You see what your mind is showing you. That's what I realized, you know. Right now, you know, even if I don't care, even if somebody brings like a little kid, I mean, I shouldn't say little kid, you know, children, you know, of course, you know, children, you got to just only show grace. But what I'm saying, if somebody brings like, let's say, an honest fool in front of me, and the honest fool is happy, you know, the honest fool is like, yo, man, I'm happy in my foolishness. I will, in some sense, be like, oh, okay, get out of there. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, it's as if that filter, my mind had a filter. I broke that last night. Or it got broken somehow. And the reason I would say now I don't even feel like even going back to the previous filter, to that filter, is because I am walking towards the unknown. I decided. What idiot would fear death in this world? Why? That's what everybody is doing. The crowd, they say don't follow the crowd. The crowd is afraid of their end. I'm going to walk towards it because it ends eventually. I will remind death of God. I will teach death about God. There is a majesty, a royalty. Why do you think they call it kingdom of heaven? You know, back in the day in medieval times, they would say, what king do you serve? The untouchable absolute presence of truth. the unbreakable. Death is a child in the world of the eternal. I feel so free. The thing that I feared my whole life, the moment I have decided to walk towards it, it doesn't bother me. You know, I had such a profound experience years ago. It's notable, I'll share it. I was sitting on my porch one morning, coffee, notebook, pen, perfect moment, and my inner realms in front of me simulated something I had never experienced before. My mind simulated the worst version of me and the best version of me in front of me, and they were staring at each other. So imagine your mind in front of you, imagine you visualize the worst version of yourself and your worst self and your best self, and they're staring at each other. Do you know? One engulfed in grace, the other engulfed in some sense, ignorance. And what was fascinating, that as these two senses of self were looking at each other, they turned around and they both looked at me. As if they were waiting for me. Do you understand? It was as if like your most advanced self is waiting for you. Your worst self, your best self, all the types of selves you can be, they're waiting. They're waiting for a decision to activate. Among the infinite, the finite choice must be made. And you know, it is very difficult to love when a part of you knows you're artificial. You see, it's not just, I thought it was just, be honest, that's it. And I thought honesty was just this feeling of being true to a sort of value system. But what kind of honesty is a story in a changing world? There will come a time to the sky, and you will ask, what quality of an expression you shared with your reality? Did you seek a freedom that was one side of the coin? Or were you able to throw the coin in the air and for one moment pause all the egos of all senses of self and just watch, as if like an astronaut hovering in outer space? Your eyes are in the void, but they see the stuff doesn't let you see the void. The nowhere has just turned into now here, but it's still nowhere. And that's what this world is trying to teach us. You think you are infinite, you suddenly notice the void. You think you're void, you suddenly notice the singular. You thought you were everything, you suddenly notice the dual. And then the dual remembers the infinite again. And the journey goes on and on until a civilization comes. The golden civilization. You know what that means? That means it's as if we are in a battle. Imagine all the types of civilizations that have risen so far in our history. Imagine they are soldiers in a battlefield and they have all fallen. We are the last one. We are the last one for now, up to this point. And the thing is, there was a time where I was like, Logos, what's up with the name Mr.Within? I asked my own heart why you have chosen this name. And then this very strange view came into my mind. That when civilizations are ready to advance, a Mr.Within arrives. The world has not lied to us. Others have not lied to us. And the self has just accepted a lie. It has even not lied to itself. How can truth forget what it is? How could where else can the original energy of the world go? It's as if there is something that had nowhere to go, so it became everything. It became everywhere. And so when I say royalty, so you have this sense of royalty back in the day where in some sense there were kings and queens, And back in the day, think of the primitiveness of the mind of man. That means that was their first hero. People didn't have posters of celebrities on their wall. There was a king, there was a queen. And it's as if all men and women were, in some sense, they noticed there was something there, something above them. Why do you think the idea of the king was in some sense said to be the one close to, in some sense, to be a messenger, not messenger, but to be like, an ambassador of God or something? Why was the king seen in a divine light? Why? Because when, in some sense, back in the day, when nobody had cared to do anything about the kingdom, there was that one dude or that one girl. People have to go see what Queen Elizabeth, I think it's the first Queen Elizabeth, she has this quote, right? I think it's in World War I or something, where she's trying to inspire. Let me find this quote for you. Check this out. So Elizabeth I says, "Fear not. Fear not. We are of the nature of the lion and cannot. Evil is the small beast." Why? Because it hasn't seen the opportunity yet. It's like sometimes, it's like, this might sound bizarre, but I pity the demon. Because in the act of evil, you missed out. It's as if like the box was put on your head. But this doesn't mean, do you see when I say evil, you see evil has a destructive intent. Do you know? But when it comes to niceness or not being nice, that is more of an attitude. It's more inner, what I mean. The consequence of it is inner. I feel free from all the acting obligations that I had subconsciously accepted due to incomplete moments of self-simulation in the past. That is the freedom I'm feeling right now. And you know, it's bizarre. It's kind of like when you're naked, you don't care, you're not caring about, what color clothing you're wearing or what style of clothing you're wearing. Imagine somebody goes up to this person and he's like, hey man, is that Gucci? The person's like, no man, that's my skin, I'm a nudist. Can you imagine in the future when genetic technology can like transfer skin, like people are gonna have like, and imagine you can on your phone's app, like there's an app on your phone that can like literally change your skin color or change your, like literally have like, let's say you want to promote a website, like you can have it all over your skin. Do you know what I mean? There may come a time like that. There may come a time where man right now is not interfering in his natural position, but in the future he's going to be like, I'm bored. What else can I do with as a human, or beyond human? You see, it's about the outcome of action. Something I think I was very blessed when I was young to see is that my dad took me to this bazaar once, took me and my brother to this bazaar in Iran. And in the bazaar, it was literally like, they say like angushtar ariq. So it's kind of like in Islamic culture, men wear rings with like religious writings on it. Okay? So there's a huge bazaar for those where it's like just like those India spice bazaars, right? Which are like a giant line. It's like a giant line, but with just everybody is like selling rings with stone on them, in every shop, right? It's like hundreds of shops just all selling the same stuff, And I remember there was this kid there. This is such a crazy story, okay? Sorry, no, this story is from different bazaar. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is I saw someone who was street smart, okay? I saw that shit. And the person who was street smart was always wondering about where things were going to rather than what it had right now or what the present was like. Do you know? Like think of like a bird on a branch not being street smart. Then think of a bird flying off from the branch into the sky, seeing the whole sky, and then coming back to the branch being like street smart. You know? So, now I'm left in this situation where if somebody says, are you nice? I'll be like, no. And if somebody says, are you not nice? I'll be like, no. Because I don't need to hide anymore. I don't need to hide in front of this world so the world thinks, oh, another good person, yay. Rather than being the self that is only here once. Do you see, this is the beauty of mortality. It frees you from what you thought you had to be. Because you see, it will come to an end. Moments pass. And just like memories, faces and worlds are forgotten as well. My heart lives for the advanced civilization of this world. And just like how, they say you honor your ancestors. I gave a talk called Ghost of Civilizations Past. And just like the spirit of our ancestors poetically accompany us into the future, the spirit of past civilizations accompany. Poetically, it's not just man that has a memory. The cosmos can remember as well. You know, it's like it's hilarious. It's like it's like the cosmos. It's like God remembering he's human, and then man remembering he's divine. You know, think it's being, like it has. Is that it's as if in order it's like this dualistic experiencer everything for a solipsism. And you know, as long as I was just trying to choose one side of the coin as the identity of myself, speaking about chaos come through, flap simultaneously. And so, as the winds of evolution are, everyone is left with choose. That's the cool thing. Everybody has their own. You know, this is bizarre, you know? Just, you know, just like the archetype of good. If you think it's good or bad, just to see what is there. And so the moment goes, now it's all out, you know? You know, perhaps acknowledging our humanity is the beginning of the... And our humanity should not be devoid of the totality of the moment. Advancement is really the coolest thing. Advancement in the outer realms. We truly built like something epic, and then, you know, we're like, okay, we're out of here, you know. You know what it is? You know, I remember I wrote this thing where I said that it's as if it's coming to sculpt the little world a little bit and then go on to the next, or go on beyond, you know. Fear of death by the realization that it's all a happening. Let's say good or bad. To cultivate the ability, that is proper cultivation. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. You know, I was gonna say some, you know, unnice things, but, you know, I'll pass. Thank you for listening, and go F yourself. Joking. Man, reality, we can actually enjoy it. Eyes are open, you can still wake up. Rise, mankind, rise. Namaste.